Good evening, Facebook, and the outside world that is around Facebook and all of the other social media platforms. It is I, D to the J with a roll away, and I have my special guest with me today on Get Real on Will's Talk, my sister Christina. Yes, my sister from another mister. My family member, not related by blood, but close enough, so who gives a damn? We're just going to go with it. And we're on episode 4 of Get Real with Will's Talk. And as you come in, feel free to leave a comment because this show today is going to knock you for a loop. I promise you this is unfiltered. I promise you there will be cussing. I promise you there will be anger. I promise you there will be moments where you feel like the world is going to explode. No, wait, that's just me. Okay. I can promise you, you will hopefully get a lot out of this show. We are doing part 3 of our 4-part series on marriage/relationships, staying in a toxic relationship. Now, that little title right there says a whole hell of a lot. And the way I want to start this out is by defining a couple of things. First of all, sorry not to pick my teeth on camera, but I had a cup full of corn nuts and one got my tooth. So there we are. That's that little innuendo. Not that I threw it out the window. It just kind of went there. Christina, how are you? How are you doing today?
I'm, pretty good, all things considered.
Good. Back doing better. Get a little bit better there.
Yeah, insurance companies are stupid, and I don't have my medication yet, but I'm still working through it with Tylenol, and it's better than what it was. So
the muscle relaxer is helping out. And
definitely, it helped out a little too much that first day.
I'm perfectly fine. I want to go play on the airplane.
I take it at night because it makes me drowsy, but I felt like I had noodles for legs. It reminded me of when I had Botox when I was a kid. And I don't know if anybody else has ever had an experience like that with muscle relaxers, but I've never taken them before, so I didn't know what to expect.
The closest thing I can think of is when you get the water too hot in the bathtub and you stay in there too long, and then you get out and you're like, whoa, oh God.
Yeah.
Can't walk, can't do anything. Okay, yeah, I'm going to fall. Whee!
No, there were no falls, thank goodness.
Do you have to take it every day?
It's kind of an as-needed kind of thing, but lately I've been hurting and needing it, so we'll see.
Okay. Well, all right, let's start out. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Welcome everybody as you come in. Yes, my CP is still come on, CP. My CP does not define me. Is still happening tomorrow. Remember, this is Get Real on Will's Talk. 2 different shows, 2 different topics, 2 different things, 2 different people, and 2 different ways to go about it, and 2 different days of the week.
Right. Here's what we can cuss about it because we're not.
Yeah, because we're not on Let Go Radio, and there's no fucking filter. All right, so there we go. Get that out of the way. All right, so staying in a toxic relationship. Words are hard. Let's define what a relationship is. A relationship is never like this. Life is never like this. It is very much as waves. In saying that, you've got the man side of the relationship, you've got the woman side of the relationship, and then somewhere in the middle is that little tiny voice that goes, he's driving you crazy. She's driving you crazy. What the fuck are you going to do? And it really, the mind, you got to be careful because the mind can play tricks on you when you least expect it. In a relationship, there has to be 3 things. We've talked about this in the other episode. There has to be communication. If there's not communication, your relationship will die. Point blank. Mm-hmm. If you don't talk to each other, if you don't sit down like I'm doing right now, like Christina's doing right now, and say, this is bothering me. If you don't sit down and work things out, your relationship will go because eventually shit will happen and you're going to wonder why, but you don't communicate about it. So you say, how the fuck did that happen? You didn't tell me. Well, you didn't tell me. Well, blah, 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 and you go back and forth. and the relationship becomes toxic because you have no communication. Number two, two reasons. You have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be honest with one another. If you do not have honesty in your communication, it is false, and your relationship will die. Not instantaneous, but little shit will start happening. And you got to be careful of the little shit, because the little shit builds up.
Yeah.
Honey, you kicked me in the toe last week, and it hurt. If you don't say anything to her about kicking you in the toe, and your toe blows up and turns purple, and she's going to wonder, why are you walking around funny? Because you kicked me in the damn toe. You got to have honesty in your communication. Everything that you talk about has to come out in the open, okay? Now, third thing, and this is a biggie, and this is why I say you've got to be careful. Everything, you don't have to agree on everything. You're going to have your opinion. She's going to have yours. Come on, CP. She's going to have hers. It's there. You don't have to agree on everything to be perfect. No relationship goes perfectly. It goes in waves. So we've got communication, we've got honesty, and we've got everybody has their own space, their own opinion, their own thought. That's okay. You can agree to disagree. All right. So we're going to move forward a little bit, and I'm passionate about this because I've been married for 5 years, and shit happens. Okay, let me just say that out front. Stuff is going to happen that you're not going to like. If you keep it in and she doesn't tell you or he doesn't tell her, you know what it's going to do? It's going to cause chaos inside of each other. Okay? All right, now let me define a toxic relationship. When does a relationship become toxic? To me, and I'm going to ask Christina this same question, but I'm going to give my definition, as it were, of toxicity. When a relationship becomes infected with non-communication, with lies and deceit. Okay? All of this, everything that happens in this world, people can look you straight in the face and say, no, I didn't do that. People can look you straight in the face and say, no, that didn't happen. Knowing in your mind that it did, and you're lying to yourself. Sorry for the voice crack on camera. You're lying to yourself, and you're lying to your individual that you are in a relationship with, whether it is a marriage or whether it is a untied relationship. When you tie a knot, it's totally different than dating. I've said this on the last episode. Being in a dating relationship is totally different than being in a marriage, but the toxicity remains the same. Doubt, okay, non-communication, lies. Lies make a relationship toxic so fast. Non-honesty, not being honest with one another. Christina, what is your definition, and what would you say makes a relationship toxic?
I mean, I guess I'm fortunate to not have had this experience yet myself, but what I would definitely say about toxic relationships, or not even toxic relationships, just things that make relationships not work. For me, it was always communication. I'm, a really kind person, and so sometimes I would have trouble, being honest with people about things, and that would, make relationships difficult. In addition to the lack of communication, the control aspect is a toxic thing too.
Ooh, you hit it. That's what I was waiting on right there, the C word. Go ahead.
When you have a person who wants to know where you are, what you're doing all the time. Like, I know someone very close to me who went through that, and it was terrible to see, because at first they just come off as a little bit clingy. Then it becomes like this obsession where you can't have your personal life. You can't have your personal space. There's nothing more toxic. It wears a person down, and and they don't always even see it because they think, well, they just care that much,
right?
Well,
and
no,
they get used to it.
They get used to it, but it's like, no, there's a line there. There's a line between I'm checking in on you and I'm obsessing over you and need to know where you are every second of every day.
Okay. Perfect. I love that you brought up the C word. I want to talk about that in just a minute. When both people refuse to compromise on a regular basis, J.P. Jackson done stood up to home plate and hit a freaking homer. All right, so let me leave this comment up here, but I want to comment on something Christina said. Clingy. Let me talk just a little about being clingy. Sometimes I like clinging because it's nice and it's sweet and you want the person to be right there. You just want to talk to them all the time and you want to hug them and you want to squeeze them. And then there are times where you go, if you don't get the fuck away from me, I'm going to die. Because you can't be in the same house all the time, in the same room. You look at the same face every day. You wake up, looks the same, smells the same, looks the same, smells the same. You're just like, what do I do? You have to break away. Everybody needs their own time. Being totally serious. Everybody needs their own time. Everybody needs their own space. And that is okay. I want to say this. When you get comfortable in a relationship, be careful. Be careful. Because comfort in a relationship often means it's redundant. You're getting used to the way. Now, there can be comfort in a relationship, but there can't be too much of it, because you've got to know how your partner feels.
Right.
Okay. Understand. That is a great comment, Elizabeth Patrick. I enjoy my own time. All take and no give. Beautiful. I enjoy my own time. Clingy is great in small doses. This is what I'm talking about right here. These 10 people that are watching right now are with me. I get it. All right, so let's move forward a little bit. When does clingy become control? What are you doing? Where are you going? When are you going to be back? Motherfucker, who are you? Back up! When you ask a question to someone else, think about how you would feel. Put yourself in their shoes. I will tell Emily, I'm going to the store. She doesn't ask me when you going to be back, how long you going to be. She will say, can you grab this, please? Can you grab this, please? And if I forget something, then she'll say, can you go back? And I'll say, no, I'll get it next time. And it is what it is. She doesn't check up on me 5 minutes. What aisle are you on? Did you get it yet? There has to be some kind of freedom in a relationship. Freedom in a relationship is important, because freedom in a relationship means trust, the T word. We're going to get to that. Mm-hmm. We're going to hit a lot of fastballs tonight.
Ooh, I like a comment I see, DJ.
Oh my God, JP. It is control or what's that word right there? What is it, Christina?
Insecurities.
That's correct.
Their own insecurities sometimes.
Most of the time. Look, I'm going to go ahead and be honest, just like I always am. I am not perfect. Many of you will know that I've changed my status on Facebook because someone pointed out to me something very important. I've changed my status. I give 100%, but I try to be the best I can be, because no one is the best they can be all the time. No one is perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. I make them. Emily makes them. Christina makes them. Miss Winnie makes them. Kyle makes them. Lena makes them. All the other people on Facebook make them. Nobody is perfect. And that's the thing. You cannot expect, or should not expect, your partner to be perfect. If you want perfection, you better order one of them little models on the side of the street. But I'm telling you, the brighter the picture, the darker the negative, folks. You better take a good look at yourself before you take a look at somebody else. I told you, we're going to get very real on this show. I'm not fucking playing today. I'm not in the mood. Again, I'm not trying to bring this to anybody's attention. When does clingy become controlling? When the cling is not enough. When you got to know if your husband is done wiping his butt in the bathroom, when that too much. Look, I need my time. Wife, same way. If she been in the bathroom for an hour and you worried, honey, you all right? That's all you got to do. You ain't got to ask what you're doing. Let her have a little time. Okay? Let me say this out loud. Men and women are different. Men and women are different. Get ready for that, folks, because it's real. Okay? Half the time when a woman says something, a man hears, and you're like, what? What did you say? Slow down. Slow down. Evaluate what each other's saying. Use dialogue communication. Be careful in what you say, and facial expressions will kill you. Women have a power somewhere. Women have a power somewhere in their eyes. And when they roll, it drives a man crazy. Help me, Lord Jesus. When a woman rolls her eyes at me, I think, what the hell did I do? And what's her first answer, Christina? You know what she gonna say? What's her first answer?
Nothing.
That came from her, not me. What's wrong? Nothing.
When the answer is nothing, you know it's something, especially if the facial expressions are telling you.
That is dangerous. When you cannot tell somebody what is wrong, that's dangerous. Nothing. That word will get you in fucking trouble. Here's the other thing. She may have to figure out in her own mind what is going on. That is a process. You cannot rush that. When she says, I don't know, she may got to figure it out on her own. Give her time to do so.
Or then there's that aspect of she says it's nothing because it's something that she thinks you should know because of her lack of communication to you.
God, do I love having a woman on this show. Damn, Christina.
I mean, because, I mean, I can say that nothing's wrong, but it's obviously something. But then again, I feel like some women have this thing where they want the man to just figure it out. I don't know too many men that can just figure it out without somebody being like, hey, this is bothering me. I mean, I'm just being completely honest there. Like,
but you've got to be completely honest, and it's got to come out the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Let me bring up another one in a toxic relationship. Tone. A man's tone can destroy a woman. A man's words can destroy a woman. Guys, I'm gonna be honest. This is hard. Okay, this is one of those. I'm very, 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 very well spoken. I can talk all day long. Sometimes I just got to shut the fuck up. That's hard for a man to do. Sometimes you've got to bite your tongue. You've got to listen. You've got to give the woman time that she needs. You've got to give yourself time that you need to reflect on what the hell is really going on. I will tell you this. If you cannot talk, that's true. Elizabeth, that's very true. His silence can indicate that there is a problem and there's something going on. but you can't force it. It needs to be gradual. You go at him with a baseball bat. What's wrong with you? What did I do? I ain't do nothing. It ain't my fault. All he's going to do is clam up tighter than a puckered snare drum, and you ain't going to get nothing. You got to come at it easy. Baby, what's wrong? Look, if you don't want to talk right now, I'm here. I'm here when you're ready to talk. Be honest about that and give them time to process it. Some men can't get them words out. Some women can't get them words out. And you going, what's the answer? 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 It's not going to help nothing. She going to take a glass and throw it at your ass and you're going to go to sleep. I'm trying to tell you guys, please take your time. You got to take your time. You got to go through this thing. You got to go through this thing in pieces. You can't go through it and get from start to finish in one step. You can't do it. You can't do it. It doesn't work that way. A toxic relationship takes time to clean. Okay? I'm not saying you can't fix a toxic relationship. Okay? If he is abusive, and this is my number one rule right here, and I say this, I don't give anything on this. This is the one thing I don't budge on. If he is abusive to you or she is abusive to you and refuses to get help, you got to go. That's Christina. I just want to get your take on that. If she or he is abusive to one or the other, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, get out, but also I also unfortunately know people that have been in that situation, and you really have to look into the resources that are there for you and not be afraid to use them. I mean, you can't make that decision to say I'm out and then go back on your word and end up in the same situation. It's really a use your resources kind of thing. And sometimes too, you don't necessarily know the resources that are available to you, but there are hotlines online. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but the domestic abuse hotline is like 1-800-SAFE or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can text and call 24/7. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, whatever. Text them, call them, and they can connect you with resources in your area, shelters, places to go to get away.
She just hit, Elizabeth Patrick, did you just hit one right there?
That emotional abuse, yeah.
It does not have to be just physical either.
Mm-hmm.
There are different types of abuse. There is mental, there is physical, there is social, there is sexual, there is all types of abuse. If you have children and he or she abuses your children, get out. Do what you've got to do to get out. Now let me post some, let me comment on something I just read because somebody just sent me a comment that they couldn't post. But let me just comment on something. When I go somewhere, I tell my wife where I'm going to be. Okay? I tell my wife where I'm going to be because it is her right to know. Okay? I also, if I'm gone longer than an hour or 2 hours and she wants to call and say, hey, are you okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? You might want to say, hey, are you all right? Instead of where are you? That comes off a little bit harder than where the hell you at? Get home.
Right. There's that.
See, when you close off the communication, let me say something. When you close off the communication, where the fuck you at? You don't talk to your lady like that. You don't talk to your man like that. Where the fuck you at? What is that? You're closing it. Babe, are you okay? Do you have any idea when you're going to be back? I'm making dinner at 6:30. Simple, folks. Simple question. If your husband can't tell you where he's at, if your wife can't tell you where she at, there's a problem. And I'm being real. When it's an honest question and you're just not trying to check up, again,
It's all in the communication. It's all in not always what you say, but how you say it.
Ooh.
I mean,
did you read my manuscript before the show? God damn. It's not in what you say, it's how you say it.
because
let me show you guys something. When Emily and I argue, if we do, this is the voice tone that I use. I don't go up with voice tone. Ever. I think I have yelled at her one time in 5 years. One time. I have yelled at her one time in 5 years. And it wasn't because of her. It was because of something else. And she got so scared. And the look on her face, I said, I will never do that again. This is the tone that I use. Honey, this is how I feel. This is why I feel the way I do. Where did you? That's the communication tone that I use. Words are everything. Words can cut just like a double-edged sword. Just like a double-edged sword. And they can often hurt worse than physical abuse because they come from here. I don't say anything unless it comes from here. Now, there's a difference when you're angry. Let me explain something. Do not communicate with each other when you are angry. You will say something you will regret. Take the time. Take the time to cool off. Take the time to relax. I'm sorry. Take the time to step away and get yourself in the right mindset. You have to communicate properly. In order to do that, you have to be in the right mindset.
mm-hmm.
Okay? I have a temper. I have always had a temper. I have always had a temper. But the problem is, again, actions speak louder than words. Make sure that you communicate. Listen, I'm angry. I don't want to talk about it right now. I want to cool down first before I say something I shouldn't. Don't come back at them and say, well, what you going to say? What you got to say? Say what you want to say. Don't hide nothing. No. I don't want to say something to you that's not right. I don't want to say something about you that is not right. I want to take the time to get myself together because I can control what comes out of my mouth. Can you? It's a big difference. It's a big difference. Now, this is the question that a lot of people ask. Never go to bed angry. I agree with that. But here's what I'm going to add to it. Pray first. Together. I don't know who believes in who up here, and I'm not trying to push religion on anybody. But prayer between a couple is powerful. I am going to tell you I've made mistakes. I'm going to tell you Emily has made mistakes. In the same breath, nobody is perfect. If you go to bed angry, that may be the last emotion you portray toward your wife or your husband or the person that you're with. And you may not get a second chance to tell them you love them because you may not wake up. I'll be honest. Life is hard right now. Not a lot of people know what's going on. And a lot of people ain't going to know what's going on because it's none of their damn business because all they want to do is talk and run with shit they don't know nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
Everything ain't for everybody. There you go, Ms. Winnie. Everything ain't for everybody. And if you don't like it, I got 2 words for you. You. That's it.
True that.
I'm sorry, but there's some stuff I'm not going to share on Facebook. There's some stuff I'm not even going to relate to on Facebook because everybody on Facebook want to see some damn drama. I'm going to tell you. Oh, I found some stuff today, Lord, girl. Let me tell you what I read. Woo! You gonna go all the way to Juanita's flower shop, and you gonna talk to Juanita, and Juanita gonna talk to Persecutor, and Persecutor gonna talk to Shamika, and Shamika gonna talk to Cherry over there, and Cherry gonna talk to Christina, and then everybody know what the fuck going on, and they got their own little pieces of putting the thing together, and you're in the middle of something you shouldn't be in. I'm just saying, sometimes keep your mouth closed and keep the social media out of it. 2, when you're angry, don't speak first. Listen. Listening in a relationship can get you out of trouble. I'm a fixer. I'm a baby, what's wrong? Baby, what's wrong? Baby, what's wrong? I had to change that. First 2 years, baby, what's wrong? Baby, what's wrong? Baby, what's wrong? Until I learned, bitch, you say something one more time. And I'm not saying Emily said that. I'm just saying, say something one more time. I will cut off your pinky, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta back up. I gotta change the way I process things. So now I ask one time, babe, what's wrong? And I sit there and I smile. Do you know what a smile does to a person? No matter how hard they try, even when you're hurting inside, don't frown. Even when you are about to explode, don't frown. And she gonna look at you, or you gonna look at her and go, "What the fuck are you doing?" And that anger is gonna come out. But once you get that anger out, be careful what you say in that moment of anger, because you can destroy a relationship by your word. Let me just say something else real quick. When your wife wow. When your wife or your husband will not answer their calls, you are giving your wife or husband ammunition to punch you in the nose. What do I mean by that? There's got to be a certain level of communication. We keep saying this. If you don't communicate with each other, your relationship will die. Christina, my Christina and I pray every morning we wake up and before we go to bed. Makes a big difference. No matter how mad I am at Emily, no matter how mad Emily is at me, we say, I love you. Even if we got to fight to get that bitch, I love you. I love you. I love you. Even if that bitch is jammed in a tuna can and got a piano sitting on top of it, I love you. And that bitch squeaks out of there like a fart you've been sitting on for 12 days. I love you. That makes a difference. You have got to be honest with yourself and each other. Should I stay or should I go? Let me answer that next question. And this is hard because you've got to look at it as a whole. And Christina, I'll get your opinion on this because I want to hear from you because I'm going to shut up for a little bit. We need some womanology up in here. But I'm going to say this. My pastor my barber, who has also been a pastor, and he really walks with God well, told me something very, very, very powerful. He sat with me on the side of the sidewalk and told me something very powerful, and I cried. I bawled like a baby. If she is unhappy and wants to leave, let her go. But always have your hand open and be willing to receive her back. Folks, I have said 100 times, women are like butterflies. If you hold them like this with your palm open and flat on the ground, they will come to you and they will go as they please. If you hold a woman like this, you will smother her and she will die and you will never see her again. You have got to be calm. You have got to be collected, and you have got to do things right. I've known Elizabeth Patrick since I was 21 years old. I met her when she was 18 and I was 21. One of my best friends. She's a sweetheart. And some of the stuff that she said up here, yeah, she said sounds about right. I think that's about right. Is all of it very true? Okay, but I want to say this: should I stay or should I go? Should I go? Let me answer that question with this: it takes two to make or break a marriage. One person can't do it. It's never always one person. Well, he did this to me, and that fool don't pay child support, and he don't take care of his children, and he don't, and he don't, and he don't, and he don't, and he don't. What does he do? You had to marry him for some reason. Y'all had to do the horizontal poker for some reason. Had to feel good for some reason, some way. He did something right because he got in there. So let me ask you this. Let's go from a non-tied down perspective first, Christina. Just a relationship. Should I stay or should I go? What do you think on that? I mean, just when a person asks that question, where do you evaluate it from? Let's get the woman's perspective on this.
Oh gosh, I mean, in a non-tied down perspective, you really have to look at whether or not you're happy in that relationship. Are both people actually happy with what's going on? Are they just pretending that they're okay? Oftentimes you sort of look at, in a non-tied down relationship, like the expectations that you have of the relationship. And sometimes if those aren't the same, people can run into trouble too. Like you have to communicate about what works for you, what doesn't. And we've talked a little bit too before about how people have sort of different love languages and different things that they see as someone showing love to them, even when those don't match up in a relationship, and when you're not doing things to help each other to be happy and to feel loved, it can fall apart there too.
Oh, I was waiting. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the love languages, the lack of communication, the where are we going with this relationship? I mean, I feel like people need to communicate what their intentions are for these types of things. You don't want there to be misunderstandings about any of that either.
Just in what you said, I'm going to say one thing. Everybody has good intentions, but people also have bad ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? In a relationship, it takes two. You have to worry about what you can control. Don't tell her don't sit there and verbally fire off at her. Okay? Even if she's done wrong, address it the right way. Ladies, please don't flirt. It drives men crazy. Don't flirt. You with a man and wearing something you shouldn't be wearing, knowing you with him, and every man is looking at you like, ooh, what you got on? And every man is going, har, 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 barking at you like you some crazy malnourished dog. Get off my wife. Jealousy, no. That mess will fuck you up and fuck the relationship up. Trust. That's the T word I've been waiting on. Let me say this the right way. Help me, Jesus. All right. When a problem occurs, it is never one person's fault. It always involves two people. When trust is broken, your relationship is at its most vulnerable point. When you and your trust is broken, you can't be honest. When trust is broken, you can't be honest. It takes a while to get it back. You got to rebuild that bitch. Don't think you're going to wake up tomorrow with a dozen roses and a box of chocolate and say everything going to be okay. No. You done fucked up big time, boy. You better wake up. You better get down on your knees and pray to God that she accepts your trust. Because that's nothing. It's got to be vice versa. Women. We all know what you got. We all know you know how to use it. Stop it. If a man asks you a question, be honest. If he's got to ask you 4 times, he knows you lying. Tell the truth. Now, when she tells the truth, don't hold it. Don't store it up here. Well, last week you done did this and this and this, and your mama said, your aunt said. Leave family alone. Handle your shit yourself. Don't involve your mama. Don't involve your grandma. Leave alone.
Yes, I mean, so many things that happen need to stay between the couple themselves. When you throw in a third party,
Roberta told me that you were a dirty dog. Well, you know what, Aunt Roberta? Here's $20. Go over there to the dollar store, get yourself some candy. Leave me the fuck alone. When you got something to handle it between you two. Don't involve family. Family, that's just another mouth in the cookie jar that don't need to be in there. Cookies get all slobbery and wet, nasty. Cookies, COVID going on, spreading stuff. Stop it. I'm trying to tell y'all. I'm being funny to keep from crying, but I'm telling you, you got to be real with how you handle a situation between two people. It's 2 people, not 22. You ain't got to put shit on Facebook and make it bigger than what it is, and everybody know on their side of everything what's going on. Stop it. Handle it in the household. Keep that shit behind closed doors. You want to handle it and bring somebody else in? Bring a counselor in. Bring somebody in that knows what the fuck they're doing. Not somebody that's going to be one-sided because that's Aunt Ruth over there. Aunt Ruth ain't got no teeth. She gumming applesauce. Leave alone. Can't even open the damn jar. I know what's going on between those 2 motherfuckers. Let me tell you. No, Aunt Ruth. Your blood pressure. Stop it. No. Handle it between the 2 of you and seek counseling. Counseling is okay. Let me say this. 2 sessions is not enough. You go to counseling twice and say, we fixed? Hell no. No. Counseling takes time. You got to be in that shit months before you have a breakthrough. And I'm talking about a real one. Not, girl, I done found out what you did. That's not a breakthrough. You know what a breakthrough is? Honey, I realized where I was wrong. I realized where I messed up. I realized where I hurt you. I'm sorry. You know what a breakthrough is? A breakthrough is, I understand where I was wrong. Let me go back and try to make it better. I know you don't trust me right now, Give me a chance to rebuild it. Toxic relationship, this is the most important thing you can do. Watch right here, because I'm going to shock a lot of people. Honey, I want to start over with a clean slate. Now, let me explain what a clean slate is. The Bible says when God forgives you, the slate is wiped clean and forgotten. Your sins are forgiven and never brought up again. When you give somebody a clean slate or a chance to have a clean slate and you have a chance to start over, it's for both of you. Because when she hurt you, you hurt her. When he hurt you, you hurt him. Both of you get hurt. Stop holding on to shit you don't need to hold on to and get real with it and start working on what you need to work on, which is this. Inside of yourself. Look in the mirror before you blame somebody else and tell them what they did or didn't do, and evaluate your damn self first. When I was much younger, I was bad about reading a girl's intentions. Sometimes they were just being nice and friendly. I would mistake it for something more. Being disabled as a teenager can be very lonely. Here's the thing. When we're teenagers, we're like, rawr. I mean, we see something pretty and I'm like, rawr, just chasing after it, smelling it, trying to lick it, and she over there hitting me with a stick. And I'm going to run back. Just go after her. I was that way. I was a hornball when I was a teenager, y'all.
Yeah, being a teenager, I mean, I teach teenagers all day, so let's just say they are some of the most wonderful yet most complicated human beings there ever could be. I mean, you know, psychologically, their brains are not fully developed yet, and they don't have some of the reasoning skills that adults have. So it's difficult because, you know, those relationships in our early years are tricky. But, you know, as we get older, we develop more coping and communication skills to hopefully help us to avoid some of those pitfalls later on.
It took me time to develop my own maturity. Women mature faster than men. Girls mature faster than boys. It's a fact, people.
Yep.
I'm going to be real straight for a minute. Real straight. Men, sometimes you got to keep what's down there in your pants. And women, you got to keep your legs closed. Don't offer that up. You better wait. You better learn something. And you better know something. Because when you give that up, that's it. Ain't no more. Can't go in there next week, gonna be different. Looks the same, smells the same, tastes the same all day long. But here's the thing. Once you violate that, it's over. You can't get no closer than that. Sex isn't the only thing in a relationship, but it is needed when you're married. Notice I said, when you are married. I know from experience. I fucked up in that round. Gone. Can't do nothing about it. Do I regret it? Yes. Okay. Made a mistake. Move on. Change yourself. Realize what you did wrong. Be bigger, better. Learn from it. Now, I got two more things to cover. And I'm so glad Christina's up here because she's nailed some stuff. Elizabeth and Patrick has nailed some stuff. A relationship takes work and time to develop everything. It does not happen overnight. Men or women can say, I love you too fast. I love you doesn't make the relationship better. It makes it more complicated. I'm being real, people. Christina?
It makes it complicated when you don't mean it, and that's why it needs to not be rushed. You know, when you say you love somebody, you need to mean it, because it leads to this confusion as to kind of where people are at as far as their feelings go. I was in a relationship once, and I'll say that person and I never told each other, I love you, because we cared about each other too much and we didn't mean it. So we didn't say it. But you have to be careful to say what you mean and mean what you say. And if you don't mean it, don't say it.
How do you know when you mean it? Now, you see her face? Ooh. Look at her face. Do you see that? That's what I'm talking about. You got to take time to understand what love really is. Mm-hmm. I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. Mama always had a way of explaining things so I could understand them. She was a real smart lady. Yeah, it literally takes time. Watch that movie, and you'll find out what true love is. When you've been through it, let me say something. When you've been through it, and when I say when you've been through it, when the shit has hit the fan, when you told each other, I don't want to see you, I don't want to talk to you, you make me sick, stay away from me, and yet you still say I love you the next day, when you've been through the shit that you thought you wouldn't go through, that's when you wake up and go, wow, this is real. That's love. When you are willing to let go of all the shit that everybody did to everybody and start over, that's love. Mm-hmm. When you mention your wife's name over and over and over, and your wife's name is the first name out of your mouth, that's love. When you've made so many mistakes and done so many shitty things wrong and she forgives you, that's what love is, people. That's what love is. Love is not just a 4-letter word. Learning opportunities very exclusively. That's what love means. Learning opportunities very exclusively. A relationship is a learning experience. And if you nurture it and you cherish it and you give it the right materials to let it grow, maybe you'll get married. Maybe you'll find that someone that you love and spend years with. Maybe you got married too fast. Maybe you jumped in with both feet thinking you knew everything and you ain't know shit. Evaluate yourself. Don't evaluate her. Evaluate yourself first. Learn to love yourself before you love somebody else. Because you can't not love yourself and love somebody else. It's impossible.
Right. The love has to come. You have to love yourself first. And I think another thing I just wanted to mention is that people a lot of times depend on others to make them happy, but you can't do that. That's not a successful relationship. You have to be happy with yourself first. And I got an almost dead computer, so you're going to see my shoulder for a quick sec.
I was so scared to do this show. Guys, I'm going through stuff right now. If I told you, your mouth would drop and crack concrete. That's just what it is. But I don't share my dirty laundry on Facebook. I don't need to. I have a counseling group that I go to. I have my family that reaches out to me. I have my wife in there. I'm going to say it again. I have my wife in there. My wife. It's hard. It's hard. A toxic relationship is hard. If it's toxic, clean it. Sometimes the simplest changes can change a toxic relationship into a God-loving one. Don't yell and scream at each other. Don't accuse each other. Step back and look at what the problem really is. If y'all can't figure it out together, bring a counselor in. Don't bring family members in. Don't bring somebody you know in. Bring a counseling member in that can be unbiased and call it like he or she sees it. And when you fuck up, accept responsibility for what you do. And too many men and women, I ain't fuck up. That wasn't my fault. No. Accept responsibility for your own shit.
Mm-hmm. And certainly don't rush the process. That's what I'll add. Like, there ain't no hurry in this when you're trying to clean something that's toxic.
I'm going to say one more thing. Just because you tell a woman you made a mistake doesn't make it okay. Y'all hear me? Just because you tell a woman or you tell a man you made a mistake, it doesn't make it okay. Whew. A lot of work, to be honest. Dating is not as hard. Dating, you can go around and flop around from girl to girl. I don't recommend you do it. Them 6'4" women kill a person sometimes. Try to tell you. Y'all don't understand. Happy spouse, happy house.
I like that, happy spouse, happy house, because people always say happy wife, happy life, but the wife isn't the only one that's got to be happy, y'all.
Look at Miss Elizabeth Pat, EP on the money. Gosh, you've matured a lot over since you were 18 years old. Goodness gracious. You have, I'm so happy for you and your success. That's awesome. If someone isn't happy, fix it. It takes time. Last thing I'm going to say is some problems you can't fix. Sometimes you got to let sleeping dogs lie. Don't poke that motherfucker with a fork. He'll bite you. I told you that show was going to be real, and I told you I was going to give everything you had. I had second thoughts about doing this show. You're welcome, sweetheart. And I mean that. Like, I look at my 39-year-old self now. God, dag, I've learned so much stuff. I did some hard-headed shit when I was young. But I'm looking at this, and the whole toxic relationship can be with family, it can be with a marriage, it can be with a friendship, it can be, but you got to figure out, I guess, to heal a toxic relationship, you got to figure out what's toxic in your life. I'm going to be honest. Married couples, be careful about pornography. That mess will mess you up. I have seen couples divide over money, sex, and communication. Okay? Pornography will mess y'all up. I've seen it happen. I'm telling you. Those images burn in your mind. And when you're with a person that you love and them images show up, you can't stop it. The past is just the past. You can't fix it. You can't change it. Look to the future. But you can not do it again. Mm-hmm. See, that's where the adaptation shows that you've got to be different. That's where the learning experience comes from, to shows that you've got to be better than you were. You've got to prove to her and prove to him and prove to each other that you can take the steps to wipe the slate clean. And if she's going to go, she's going to go. There's nothing I can do or you can do. If he's going to go, there's nothing you can do or I can do. It's one of those things. Lord, I'm boring Christina to death over here. Look, she's out.
No. This teacher did not get enough sleep last night.
That's the change, the future. Well, I hope this touched somebody somewhere. I hope we've hit a point. I hope we've made some difference. I hope you've been able to laugh a little bit, cry a little bit. I hope you've been able to figure out some shit about yourself. I hope you can look at this and say, you know what? Wow, this was hard, but it was real. There was one other question I have. In a toxic relationship, somebody emailed me this. In a toxic relationship, we have kids. We've stayed in it for the kids for way too long, and it's still toxic. What do I do? If the relationship is toxic and it's constantly abusive, and you know that it's not going to change, you need to fight for custody and get out. Because your kids are going to suffer, you're going to suffer, everybody is suffering, and it's not a good idea. That's what we talked about earlier. If you say you forgive someone, if you say it's okay, you can't hold that kid and use it against them later.
Right. That's the whole clean slate idea. You know, if you forgive somebody, you need to stop holding it over their head.
And truly forgive them. Don't say you forgive them with anger in your heart. That's it right there. Never stay in a relationship with a kid.
Yeah, I mean, staying in for the kids, like, sounds like a good idea. And I'm not speaking from experience here, right? I don't have kids and I've never been in that situation, but you know, that one person's obviously getting hurt and the kids are obviously getting hurt being stuck in the middle, even though you think that it might be easier just for them to have the same routine. I wouldn't think it would be worth all of the abuse, whether it be mental, you know, physical, social, etc.
I want to thank y'all for sticking with me through this thing. Like I said, it was hard to do this show when you're going through things in your own life and you're trying to sort shit out and you're trying to go through it. It's hard, but you do it. So I appreciate, you know, some people are better off as friends than they are married. And that's okay. But it's got to be a realization on both parts. No matter how bad one person wants it, the other person still may feel we're better off as friends. And you got to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard. You can fall out of love just as quickly as you can fall in it. It's okay to fall out of love with someone.
I love the comment too. The parents can split but still show respect for each other. That is a big one for me because you might not see eye to eye with that parent, but it's still that child's mom. It's still that child's dad, and you do need to have some common human decency when you're interacting with that person, especially around the kids.
If you are man and woman enough to make a child together, be man and woman enough to love that child with all you have.
Mm-hmm.
Never verbally abuse the other, one or the other in front of the kid. They take all that. They hear all that. They don't forget. That's just what that's so true. You only get one set of parents in life. I'm lucky enough to have two moms. I'm lucky enough to have a group of brothers and sisters that pick me up when I fall. But I also realize when I'm falling. And I also realize when I'm hurting. And it takes time to get back what you need. It takes constant surveillance and work and patching and loving and understanding and communicating. And don't tell me in a perfect relationship you don't argue. If you don't argue, something ain't right. If you don't have some kind of argument somewhere, it ain't right. Now, I'm not saying you got to throw shit against the wall and be dodging left and right. That's not what I'm talking about. Try turning the tone down a little bit. Try turning the explanation down a little bit. Just talk. Never regret anything in a relationship because it is once what you wanted. Now, I can't say I won't regret, things in a relationship because it's what I wanted, because there are regrets. I don't regret anything as far as toward a person, but I regret some things that happened. Christina, you got any closing comments or want to say anything just to the last comments coming in?
I just kind of want to let this settle the way it is, honestly. We've talked about a lot of things here. I just hope that somebody can pull something important from all of this.
What have you pulled from it?
Communication is key, and there's no rushing the process when you're trying to fix some of these very difficult things.
Let me ask you this, and I don't think we covered this. I do want to cover it for just a few minutes. You've got a very important career, and the person that you're going to be with, that, whoever it is, I meet with a shotgun and sitting on the side of the steps going, "Come here, boy." Meaning,
my big brother DJ don't play, so that boy better watch out someday.
You understand what this means on this day? You want to meet Christina? Come here. Sit down. Let's talk. Want to go for a ride in the car? No, don't go for a ride in the car. Okay. But do you think it's hard for people to understand that your career comes first?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even as a single person without, kids and other things tying me down, like my job takes a lot, teaching really is a work of heart. And, I feel like I give so much of my heart to what I'm doing. I would just hope that whoever I marry someday will understand that there is a big piece of my heart that's going to go towards my teaching. Mm-hmm. But there's also a piece of my heart that's going to be for that person too. They're not going to get left out of that equation. But I think it's hard for people to understand how much we teachers actually put into what we're doing every day. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes we are the only positive adult that these kids come into contact with.
Do you think that's why you think that's why you haven't settled to this point with somebody?
I think so. I think I'm early on in my career, and there's a certain number of things that I'm still trying to figure out, and I'm, still right now I'm working on my master's degree, so that threw another variable in the equation. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I'm just trying to figure out getting home from work and keeping the house clean, and the regular daily balance. So I'm just not ready to throw another variable in that equation just yet.
Right. Because it takes a lot of time to invest in the relationship as well.
Right.
And that's that.
It takes time, and it takes a lot of emotional and physical energy. And sometimes my physical energy at the end of the day, gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, I mean, it's 6 or it's 8 for you, it's 7 for me, and I'm already thinking about like going to bed here in a couple of hours. So
yeah, it's teachers always take work home is the comments that that Elizabeth left.
Yeah, we take and not so much just the taking the work home for me. What kills me is the thoughts about different things and the worries that I have about different things. Did I remember to do this? Oh no, I forgot to help so and so with this. All of those types of things that invade my mind at 10 o'clock at night are the things that bother me more so than the amount of papers I ever have to bring home. But, a lot of that emotional baggage is because I care. And
yeah. The emotional is part of it too. Yeah, that's and see, you're around kids all day. But to hold your own, to have your own, that's a totally different thing, But that's another story for another day. Get Real on Wheels Talk, episode 4, has officially come to an end. I'm going to close with this. You draw a lot more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. Take your time. Think about what you want to say before you say it. And say it with love. Don't say it with anger. Don't go to bed angry. Don't divorce unless you have to. Think about it, pray about it, evaluate it, talk to each other, communicate, really try to get in there, really try to understand the mindset of the other person, really try to understand what they're going through before you bombard them with all the crap that you're dealing with, and understand that it takes two. It's never one person's fault. Sometimes you have to go. Sometimes you have to divorce. Sometimes you have to get out. And that's okay because you can fall out of love just as quickly as you can fall into it. Thank you all so much for tuning into this. Christina, I am so thankful, so thankful you decided to do this with me. I did not want to do this episode by myself. I don't think I could have.
I'm here for you anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate it, sis. All right, stay with me. We're going to end the broadcast here, guys. I love y'all so much. If you guys want to be a guest on the show, you can email me at carterdj85@gmail.com. You can ask about being a guest. We'd love to have you on the real issues of life that we cover, whether you're disabled or not. This is unfiltered. Cussing happens. Things happen, and there is a proper way to handle the maturity of the show. So therefore, please email me and please keep tuning in to Get Real on Wheels Talk. We'll see you next week, Tuesday at 6 o'clock, for the final part of our marriage and relationship series, which I will tell you what it is on that day. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I am D to the J with a roll away, all of a sudden with an English accent, which I like very much. Therefore, a cookie is just a cookie, but Newtons are fruit and cake. Goodbye, everyone.